Good morning, good evening, and good night, and welcome to everyone on the internet. Whether you're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, this is Lancing with myself, with me, Steve D from Tin Star Games, talking about being a freelance game designer and creative when you're low on spoons and low on cash. Now, last couple of weeks we've been talking about scenes and creating those kind of spaces and how to share and how to build those kind of communities. And those are all really good things. It's great to have other people to be inspired by, to support you, and to give you, ideas, and to look at your work and to keep you going. And look, I am the first person to say that it's really important to reach out, to pull people up, to ask for help. But here's the other thing, is that scenes are mercurial things. They don't, just exist all the time. They slip away. Scenes are things that can happen somewhat spontaneously. No matter how much you foster them, you can't guarantee a scene will be there. You can't guarantee that the industry or the hobby or the community is going to be exactly what you need at any kind of time. Scenes come and scenes go. Support comes and support goes. Fame comes and fame goes. You'll be in the spotlight one moment, you'll be gone another. That is the nature of being an entertainer. I may be a incredibly old person, but as Billy Joel said, today I am your champion. Tomorrow I may have won your hearts, but I know the game, and you'll forget my name, and I won't be here in another year if I don't stay on the charts. From his song "The Entertainer." Eventually, it all just comes back to you, and that's the thing that is about game design. More than some arts, because of the play testing, it does require, working with a lot of people. But like most of the kind of writing arts, it is effectively just you and the blank page. It is essentially a lonely process. It is you and the blank page and wrestling with those mechanics and those rules and thinking and trying to make them make sense and trying to make them work. And that's a lonely process. As Aaron Sorkin once said, "I love writing, but I hate the empty page. The empty page stares at you and says, well, how good are you really? What have you done lately? How good are you really?" And that's something you have to deal with. That's something that every artist has to be able to go, well, hang on, what do I do when I don't have support? When I'm feeling like nobody's listening to me, when I'm feeling like this has no purpose and I can't get a game out, I can't get my game noticed, I can't get my game in front of an audience. And even if I can get in front of an audience, I don't get much support, We don't get rounds of applause. We occasionally get a thank you, if we're lucky, or a nice review. It's pretty rare, and it wears off as well. I'm doing a lot of quotes this episode, but Ray Romano, whatever you think of Everyone Loves Raymond, it was one of the greatest hits on television. He said that his feeling of success lasted about 48 hours after that show was finished. And then he was like, what have I done lately? So it doesn't matter how good the times are and how much community there is. Eventually those things will fade, and it's always going to come back to you and that empty page. So how do you deal with it? You have to be prepared for it, basically. Like everything on this show, we talk about, it's really important to think ahead and have a plan. How do I deal with those times when it's just me and the empty page? What do I think about to keep going? And I like to come back to my values, my inspiration, and just leaning into that and enjoying that process. If you don't enjoy that grind, you're gonna burn out, and you'll need to know what your tolerance is. How much can I sit and fight the empty page before I need support? What kind of days is it good for me to do that on, and what kind of days is it bad for me to do that on? How do I get forward when I'm stuck? Maybe I like to write something up on my vision board that gives me a reason to keep going. Maybe I need, a little stuffed toy that I tell all my problems to, or maybe I take a walk in the park. This sort of is the intense internal calculus of you that figures out how to deal with that one single issue that is design and creating and writing, and that is you are eventually just you at that coalface trying to make something work. And everyone's going to have a different solution. The point is, understanding that you will come to that point. You will be alone. You might not have fame. You might not have success. You might not have satisfaction. You might not have a scene. You might not have support. And that's the reality. And you will hit that point, because creating is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You will keep coming back. Not necessarily to low points, but just you and that empty page. And you've got to figure out how to deal with it. And it's not easy. It's a skill you'll get better at. And I don't have any great answers for you, except that we've all been there. And prepare for it. Be ready. Understand that it's going to come. That you're going to hit that point. You're going to hit the coal face. And what makes a good artist, what makes an enduring artist, is someone who can hit that face every time and keep going, and find the stamina to keep pushing through those periods. Everyone can work when the work is coming, when the intention comes, when the support is there and the scene is great. What makes a good artist, what makes an enduring artist, what makes someone who keeps coming back with more and more, is someone who can push through when they're at the bottom, when they're alone, when they have no support. Martina Navratilova said, the mark of a champion is not how they play on their best day, it's how they play on their worst day. That doesn't mean you'd be judged on the worst of your games, but it's more about what happens when everything isn't firing and it's just you and the wall. You've got to find your reason. You've got to find how to crack on. If you've got any tips for how you push through that, I just like to think about how everyone else has been there and enjoy that process. This is the fire in which we are forged. That's enough cliches for today, but I'm just telling you, that is the truth. It always comes back to you and that empty page against the cold face. So be ready for it and find the glory and find the enjoyment that you can. Till next time, I've been Steve D. This has been Lancing with myself. Be good, play games, pat dogs, have fun.